Motorbike race underway, and it's a great start from Michael Rutter initially, but a good start from Scott Carson as well. Number 24, but also Graham Higlett. Graham Higlett, number 50. He's made a brilliant getaway.
He did from the second row, really timed that right. It was actually Dan Cooper who just bogged it down a little bit, easy to do on it. But look at Carson around the outside, Mike just shaking his head.
That did look a bit scary, but he's still there. He's still there. Scott Carson is leading it with Higlett back into second position now, having made that brilliant start on the four-stroke. It's a two-stroke bike that is currently leading, just beginning to pull out just a touch. Dan Cooper's running in third, another of the Yamahas.
Yeah, and you saw 23 there, Gary Vines. He was just going around the outside. Oh, he's having a little look on Rutter. He's done well. He was 10th on the grid, but felt he could come through, so we'll keep an eye on him. He's first 250, but it is the 350 TZ with Scott Carson, number 24, out in front.
Yeah, I'll be watching Vines, there's no doubt about it, because he was so impressive here last year on that 250.
Oh, someone's oil. That's looked like a bit of oil coming out that bike. And that is, I'm pretty sure, that is number 15, I think it is. I think it's Dean Mitchell.
Oh, right, he's off the bike. He looks fine. So, but unfortunate, the way to get things going. The Scott Carson's made a really good getaway. There's Dan Cooper in the second place now, with Graham Higlett still there in third.
Yeah, he is. It's just Dan Cooper just slipping up the inside. You can see that Carson's really got his head down. He can't let him get too far in front. They're coming to just sort of cross the line, and that was number 6 as well, wasn't that? That was Nick Williamson. He's had a good start.
Michael Rutter dropped down a bit from pole position. He's still up there. He's still in 4th position in the yellow bike with the number 67.
I think what you're seeing again is a little bit of this misfire. You know, they were struggling to diagnose it. They changed plugs. They were looking all over. They've gone through the carburetors, but they couldn't quite find what that problem was. We'll keep an eye on him. And there, yes, there's a good battle there between the 350 and the 250.
Yeah, Gary Vines, the number 23, that is the 250, and it's not as quick in a straight line, but boy, it's quick round the corners. He was so impressive here last year. Let's just have a look at what happened if we can. Ooh, went early there.
It did go early, so you know, just that's really cold tyres first lap. He's just gone a little bit hard, and unfortunately down he's gone.
You were right, it is the number 15 bike that went down, so Dean Mitchell, so but all okay, I think. And we're back to the battle up front.
Yeah, Rutter's got past Higlett, so Rutter now up into third.
So the man who was so quick in qualifying is beginning to pick his way through, and Higlett, who made the fantastic starts, coming under a little bit more pressure now from Nick Williamson. Nick in the Yamaha, on the Yamaha, trying to get past. Can he do it under braking? Is this where the two-stroke can brake a little later?
Yes, it is, and he's just about to. He's muscling it out, but he'll have the inside line. He might try and square him off back to the chicane, but not quite.
Scott Carson's doing well up front. He's got over a second gap now, so he's beginning to open it up a little bit more as he goes over the line, setting quick lap time as well. Yeah, it's up to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, 1:27.3, so yeah, it's a really quick time. Spoke to Carson after practice, and he said they were just changing the jetting on it, just getting it running a little bit sweeter, and he's obviously got it. He said it's all about getting the tyres going quickly, and he's done that really well.
He has done that well. Fantastic job, no doubt about it. Just looking down in the background there as well, we've got Dan Jackson is beginning to catch up on the number 55 bike, so did well last year. He had a bit of a poor qualifying. I don't know whether they had a mechanical. There it is, number 55, white bike, rider in black overalls and black crash helmet.
Yeah,
definitely moving up.
Yeah, it's a TZ250G again, but that one's got a Harris chassis, so it's yeah, they were Harris and Spond and a few manufacturers built different chassis at the time. It's the number 55 we're talking about, and he's going really well.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Chased by Rob Whitty, who was one of the second row starters on one of the four-stroke Hondas. So he's still in the mix as well. But yes, keep an eye on Dan Jackson here, because whatever didn't quite work in qualifying, it looks like to me they've solved it. It's going much, much quicker in the race, and he's getting onto that lead group, even though Scott Carson up front has got himself a very useful advantage so far. Look at this, he's already swept past Graham Higlett.
Yeah, that was really nice round the outside. Looks like he might have cost himself a fraction of time coming out, but it's in front of him is going to be Williamson next.
Yeah, that's right. Nick Williamson is his next target. Overtaking here. What do you feel on a bike are the best corners, the best areas to get past?
Yeah, the nice thing about Goodwood is there's a couple of fast, different lines, so you don't always have to follow. And that's so there's there are different places you can pass. You know, I like passing. You come through this little right kink now, and then we come into the right there. That's all. I found a really good spot into the next left as well. Come up the inside there.
Oh no, not again.
Gary Vines has got another problem. He's still running. You can see it's still running, but he's got something. So we thought he might be back in the action. He'll be disappointed. But unfortunately, his race is over again. That's the TZ250, the 84 bike of Vines. But this is your man out in front, Carlson. And I tell you what, Dan Cooper might just, we'll keep an eye on that gap. That last lap, there was a 1/10 of a second between them. They were the only men in the 27s.
Yeah, that's interesting. Meanwhile, Dan Jackson's really picked up well. He's up into 4th place. Here he comes now, and he's chasing after the pole sitter. He's passed him already. It's flying down the straight there. Michael Rutter passed immediately by the man who qualified down in 14th place, and he's now got himself up into 3rd place.
Yeah, and he's looking really good, isn't he?
Oh, we've got another problem as well. Oh dear, a few little mechanical issues going on. Not a surprise, of course, with classic machinery. So our top two come through, Carson Cooper and now Dan Jackson in 3rd place. Is he? Let's watch this lap, especially see if he can close the gap, because that lap was a pretty quick one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very quick. He was quick, quickest on that race. Dan Cooper as well. He took 0.6 of a second out the leader. So Cooper took 0.6 of a second out of Carson, 2 seconds. But it was a really good lap from Jackson there.
He's leading quite a train of bikes here, and they're all trying to stay with him.
Yeah, as we said, it's the difference in style. You know, these are such light bikes, the 350s, 115 kilos compared to 230 for the big super bikes. But it's all about keeping them singing. But Michael Rutter, whether it's missing a bit in and out, he seems to kind of drop a bit and then sort of come back a bit. So I think it might be a bit intermittent, because he's not been able to drop him yet.
This is a sort of double apex right-hander that comes back onto the straight. Can you get on open throttle fairly early there, or do you really have to wait?
You run it really too wide, then you kind of roll it a fraction, because it's all about, you've got to get the run out. You know, the first bit just leads, it's all about the exit onto the straight, because you get a good run down here. It makes so much difference. And this is probably the best passing place on the track. And you can see Higlett there just slipping up the inside of Michael Rutter to become leading 4-stroke in the race in 4th spot.
Yeah, and that's a good point, to be leading 4-stroke, because that is separate part of the competition in a way. The 2-strokes are up front at this stage. Let's have a look at these lap times.
I tell you what, Cooper has really closed the door as well. Remember, it was 2.6.
Oh, yeah.
It's down to 0.6, 26.8.
Wow.
126.8. He was 1.4 seconds quicker than the leader. So Cooper has really picked it up. I mean, that's one of the quickest laps I think we've seen on these bikes.
That's very impressive. I can tell you what also, Andy Hornby's on a bit of a climb up the ladder too. He's in 6th place now. Bike number 42, see it coming through?
Yep.
He's just on a 127, so something's coming to get. But this is, as you say, the battle for the lead. Look how close it is.
Yeah, we thought he'd got away. He had 2.6 seconds, but he's rolled it off. He dropped into the 28s, and Dan Cooper behind him was just getting quicker and quicker. So on lap 5, Dan Cooper is nearly on him.
Remember, this is a 7-lap race, so there's not a long way to go. We're on lap 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a back marker coming up. You've got to be ruthless with these here. You've got to get through nice and clean, but you've just got to, they go, you're really easy to cost yourself some time.
Yeah, we're actually on lap 6, so when they get to the end of this lap, there'll be just the 1 lap to go. Now, has Jackson been able to find any more time? Not quite. He had that surge in the initial stage, but he hasn't been able to get away from this group and go chasing after the top 2. So it looks as though we've got kind of separate battles. They're doing a bit of lapping as well, so you always got to be a bit wary. Tom Snow on that's the Harley Davidson 250 actually, interestingly, that he's just gone past. Look how close they are again as they come through the chicane and go over the line to complete 6 laps and go on to their 7th.
Oh, now he's got to really try and find a way through. It's all about slipstreaming, keeping that speed up, getting tucked in. He's got a good drive there coming out. He might be able to have a little look on the right hand and coming up. Depends how. Has he got the slipstream? Oh, not quite. No, he can't quite do it there. Not a lot between him. He's probably a little bit lighter as Dan Cooper. Lots of back markers ahead as well, so he's got to pick his moment.
Yeah, and last year that had a big bearing on the result as well, actually, back markers. To find the right space is never easy.
It's never easy. It's much easier to be the lead guy as well, generally. So he's lost a fraction of time there, but it looks like Carlson's going to go straight through. Is Dan going to go around the outside? Yes, he is. So I tell you what though, Carlson did a great job to get round that first one, and he might just well have given him a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, that might have helped Scott Carson to hold on for victory here. They've still got a few others to try and find their way past. Dan Cooper is keeping up the chase, the gap back a little longer to Dan Jackson, who's still holding on to third place. Andy Hornby's moved up to fifth now, so he has done very well, but it's not going to be enough to go challenging after these two, I don't think. And it does look as though Carson is really well sorted, having started from third on the grid. We had an interesting getaway at the start. Hands out, it is victory for Scott Carson. He takes the first win of the weekend here at the 80th members meeting. Scott Carson beating Dan Cooper in the end by just 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, and what a last lap from him, 126.7, so he really got his head down. He knew he was under pressure. That's the man, number 24, Scott Carson. But what a great job he did.
Dan Jackson has finished in third place. Andy Hornby then has won the four-stroke, so that's good news for him.
Yeah, he did well. You know, Higlet there, and Rutter, I think, with that misfire, just dropping down to seventh.
Yeah, so, and it's great, clean race, good fighting right up to the end of the race. But it is Scott Carson who can celebrate the victory today. Well, it's lovely to see Scott managing to hold on there, but it was a good battle, and Dan Cooper pushed him hard. They were together on the front row. It got a bit separated at the start. It was all a bit changed to that great start that Graham Higlet made, diving through between them. Michael Rutter, as you said, it's interesting that you knew about that slight engine problem they had, because I think you're absolutely right, because he had the pace in qualifying, just wasn't repeated.
Yeah, and he seemed to sort of be thereabouts and then drop off a little bit, and this, you know, an intermittent misfire could be so awkward when you're riding, especially on a motorcycle.
Yeah, very difficult.
No such problem. I mean, the two strokes, that was a good showing for the two-stroke boys here today. So that top three were all the two strokes, all TZ 350s, but it was this man, number 24, Carson, who, like you say, he got out in front, and then he seemed to kind of go off the boil a bit. Dan Cooper did a magnificent job to close him back in, but he responded, and what mega last laps they did. That was Dan Cooper's 126.6.
Yeah.
Dan Cooper on that last lap, and they both did 26. It's very impressive.
Yeah, very good indeed. And there you can see the time for the race, 10 minutes average speed there, just under
100 miles an hour.
That's impressive, isn't it?
It is, and what's great as well, because they both finished just 0.3 between them, so that really sets up tomorrow's race. Remember, it's an aggregate. The two race times get added together to get the overall winner, and it's going to be really tight between those two.
It is indeed. Andy Hornby won the Sheen Trophy for four strokes last year, and he's in the right position at the moment.